Hi, welcome back to the A&S Way. You are watching part 2 in our new series of...
What is our series called?
I don't know, our journey?
Our life journey.
Our life journey.
Well, if somebody comment below and tell us what we should call it.
And then we'll
So
call
it's
it
the
that.
journey prior to the US journey.
Yeah, so in the last video we shared our background, so how we came to be in the UK, a bit about our parents, and really about our attitudes in life and how that was formulated in our very young, much younger years.
So if you haven't already, make sure you go and watch that video. It'll be the one directly preceding this video.
And this video was quite a key one for us because it is our school years and it's actually where we met. So
Secondary school.
Secondary school.
Which is high school if you're a US person watching.
Oh yeah, need to get that right. And we thought it was a key one to talk about because, well, a lot of your personality, how you end up structuring your ideas, your education,
where you end up in life,
where you end up, whether you go to uni or not, it's formulated in those years, and a lot of our life is certainly disrupted in those years.
So the first thing is we both went to a grammar school, and for people in the UK who aren't aware, because they're not everywhere, and for people not from the UK, it's a form of selection. So the selection is made when you're 11 years old. It's called the 11 plus. You have to reach a minimum level. So similar, most people will know about the SATs, but it's a one chance only test which is supposed to test your level of intelligence. If you pass that, you have the opportunity to go to a grammar school. Now the point of the grammar school is it's meant to eliminate wealth and money, so it takes that out of the equation. You can't pay your way in, you test your way in. So it gives the opportunity to people like me who had no money to go to a better school if you are of the standard. Now there's lots of people that don't like them. Myself, if you've watched any of the videos I put out, I'm not a big fan of school or the education system in general, but I think grammar schools are absolutely amazing and give people with that opportunity to really get a great education where in other circumstances they may not have that opportunity available to them.
Yeah, I'm personally a huge fan of grammar schools because I met him. But interestingly, we've been watching another series on YouTube that used to be in the UK called Benefits Britain.
Oh God, don't even start me.
Yeah. The US people will love it, and the UK people, if you haven't, go back and watch it. But something that came out of when I was watching it, I was thinking about when I was at school, and I mentioned this to Anne yesterday. The thing with grammar school is it really does take your wealth out of it. You have to be of a certain ability or intelligence to go to the school, but you're in a school with people are coming from the council estate or people with lots of money, and as a 13-year-old going to school, you're not really
13, you're 11 when
11,
you go there.
There you go, 11.
Skip 2 years of our life. You can see how well grammar school worked out for Selena.
Know, it seems like so long ago, but you don't have an appreciation for the money that the people around you have, so you're really integrating with people with different backgrounds, and I think that in itself is a brilliant thing.
Yeah. So where do we even begin with our journey through secondary school? So I think to give context to how I saw it, when I left primary school I actually did really well, and most of my primary school years the final parts of my primary school years were quite difficult because I think there was this thing called SRA boxes where you did reading, maths and whatever, and I'd completed most of those, and the last couple of years people struggled because I would do things more quickly than you're supposed to do it according to the curriculum, so there wasn't much to do. So I felt quite accomplished and super smart, and then you arrive in secondary school and a grammar school and you realise there are people way smarter than you, and whether I was consciously aware of it or not, I realised that this probably the direct thing of education and being the best was not going to be what fulfilled me and paid me. I realised that fairly early on. So my whole view on school was take out the bits that I enjoyed, so some maths, physics, whatever, and discard the rest, just choose not to go to them, because to me it was a complete waste of time to spend time doing something I knew would have no bearing on my life into the future. Now I know that seems ridiculous to a lot of people because they're like, you're 11, you're 12, that's not how people think, you didn't think that. Believe me, I mean, if you could reach out to my parents, they would tell you exactly the same thing. It was very quick for me. Probably from year 8, I just didn't go to the classes that I didn't want to. I would be in the park or wherever, and I would tell the people I'm not.
Didn't do most of your work.
Didn't do any of the work. I didn't do any homework. I skipped my SATs, and I just focused on. And when my parents obviously would get called in, and I would just say to them, "It's your choice. If you want me to be in the class, I'll be there, but I'm going to disrupt it for everybody." Or I could not be there. And I would give them the opportunity to explain to me why chemistry or Latin was beneficial. And I don't think one person was ever able to explain it in a satisfactory way. So I took that to mean, they don't know, what am I doing here? And I chose not to go. Selena, on the other hand, was very, very different.
The complete opposite. So Anto was the child that most teachers didn't want at school.
Some of them
especially in a
great.
grammar school.
Yeah.
But he was difficult, but intelligently difficult as well. So what teachers would often say about Ant was you would put up a good argument for something, and then they couldn't reason out. So it was even worse than a student being disruptive. It was intelligently disruptive.
Yeah, which they said on a number
of
occasions exactly that. They would freely admit, my morals are very solid, my points are very solid, they just don't match theirs. It's not that they're wrong, it just doesn't match theirs. So I was a problem child for a grammar school, but I wasn't actually a problem in the sense of I wasn't going to go on to do anything.
Yeah, I was the complete opposite. I'm far more compliant, much more compliant. And also school probably did suit, I'm one of those people that suited the system, I guess, in that way. I studied, I would work hard, it worked for me, but I also knew how to make it work for me anyway.
But you're still good at a lot of the things that you were good at then that made it fit. So very systematic, very process driven, very structured. Whereas I'm more, even now, if I felt there was value, so as an example, if maths was valuable to me, I would do absolutely nothing, read all of the key parts, and then just do it on that day. Whereas you would build up that knowledge and take it all in and have a wealth of knowledge if a new question was thrown at you. I would just find a way to get 70%, and that's it for me.
I could study. I mean, I did my homework on time, I did my essays, I never really struggled. Ant's right though, at grammar school you are in an environment with some super intelligent people, so I was very aware of the kids that were super smart, but it's good because it pushes you, and that's why I think grammar schools are great, because if you are of an intelligent, you do need to be pushed, because that you only know your best by being around people better than you, or what you think is better than you. But I was definitely on the side of school suited me, and I went through the system in that way. I did sixth form, and I also went to uni initially.
So, just to rewind a bit, so the part where she says she went to sixth form, I left school in year 10, which is 15.
Which you're not allowed to.
Which you're not allowed to, and it's hard to explain how this whole thing went, bearing in mind this is now 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago for me. But I effectively convinced both my parents and the school that not only was I going to leave, they were going to accept it, and they were going to speak to the governing board to transfer my funding to my local college. Even now, when I say it doesn't sound real, it seems ridiculous, but they agreed to all of this, and they actually paid for me to go to college at 15. They transferred my funding from Bexley to Greenwich. I went to college, and I realised I was in there, not only was it the teacher, but one of the people who's about 21 doing an IT diploma, were just like, oh, have you done this before? And I was explaining to him, 15 or 16, like, this makes no sense. So that said to me, I'm smarter than these people, and I quit that also. So this is just to build up the picture of how I view things. Well, why am I going to waste another 2 years here when I can already do this? Whereas Selena's gone through the normal secondary university.
I got my GCSEs and I got my AS and A2 levels. We were the first year to do A2 level.
AS2s.
AS2s,
yeah,
whatever they were called. Anton, on the other hand,
did none.
Yeah. And that's very key, because you'll hear lots of people saying about your GCSEs and how important they are, and they're going to look for your GCSE results.
What we don't want to do, this isn't an advocation to skip school or quit at all, even from me. You do what suits your goals the best. There is absolutely no downside to having an education, absolutely none. The only thing that didn't work for me was I was never going to go down that route. They were going to force me to do stuff that I would just fail because I wouldn't show up. So it was a waste of everybody's time. It wasn't that it wasn't going to benefit me in the future had I had that education. So it hinder me. It would never hinder my progress. But for me, it was a waste of all of those years. So the finishing year 11, doing 2 years at sixth form, and then going on to university was a complete waste of time. I knew I could do what I needed to do and start working at 17, which, by the way, and we'll come on to these things, I did. I got a job at 17 in IT, very first job, because I convinced somebody to give me a job. This is kind of the idea around this whole series of how you can get to similar places to somebody that's taken a totally different route to you.
And I'm a huge advocate for this, and we'll touch on this more. I don't know if we're covering university in this one, but I had a long discussion about the value of degrees recently with my own family. And the bit that I always try to explain, you have to know yourself and what works for you. And I'm a true believer that there isn't a set number of steps that you need to take in order to be successful. Whatever success means for you, it's you as a person that's going to make it happen. So Ant knew for him, this secondary school wasn't working. Doing GCSEs was just a pointless task, but that didn't mean he was going to be a bum and do nothing, which is people's normal reaction of, if you don't follow the status quo and what we expect you to do,
you'll amount to zero.
You're going to be, no, that's not the truth, because it's your work ethic and how you are, and you just have to recognize it. So you can always be super successful in whatever you want to do. But that's you. It's not your degree or your education that determines that. It's what you choose to do with your actions that determines whether you'll make it.
And just to pick up on that, one of the things I try and get across to people, and it doesn't always land because it depends on how your mind works, is the people often telling you to do these things aren't doing what you want to do. So when you're taking advice from your mum, your nan, the teacher, whoever it is, that's saying you absolutely have to do this business degree when they're the fish fryer. That isn't a knock on them, but why would you take the advice from somebody who has not done it, has not demonstrated that is the route? Why would they know that that is the solution to whatever it is you're trying to do? So again, this isn't an attack on people that go down that route. It's more about understanding yourself, understanding your goals and objectives, and how you can navigate that. If you know there's a clear path that you've chosen, go for that. If you don't know, maybe do grab the education and all of the skills that come associated with that, because you're not sure yourself. Go down that route. This isn't I'll just quit school and it'll all work out. It definitely won't. It's about making sure that you understand the route that you need to take to get to your goals, not somebody else's goals, not somebody else's wants and wishes and wills for you, whether they're good or not. It's what you intend to do with your life. Before we close out this school-related episode, and I can't remember if we mentioned it, so not only is this where we met, this is where we originally first got together, and both of us now looking back on it, we both question, what was you thinking? Because I was the complete opposite to what you did and what you liked and what you believed in. Not only that, I had some very aggressive tendencies, very. So I was problematic in a lot of different ways, but for some reason you decided this was your guy and that was it.
Yeah, I did.
It's
I don't
quite
know.
strange.
It's pretty crazy in that way.
It's worked out.
It's worked out, and I think when we get to it, we'll cover about synergy and knowing who's good for you and not good for you. And I think as when you're in, whether you're young and you're 16 and crazy like I was, liking this guy.
It was before 16, I think it was 14, the original, 14 or 15, because I left at 15.
I think 15. Yeah, I think so. It all becomes a blur after a while. Or whether you're 35, 45, 50. One thing a theme that we will keep repeating is knowing who to surround yourself with and who's good for you, and very much linked to what Ant was just saying about look to advice from people that are in the place that you want to be. And
have the skills that
have
you
the
want, or
skills.
the type of personality you want to be around. Don't just blindly take advice or go and be with somebody because somebody says so, with no merit or foundation in that. Hence the reason why when they say you absolutely have to do Latin, I say, okay, give me an example, and they go, I've never actually thought about that, and you're like, there we go then, see you next week.
Yeah, and the key thing here is just knowing the right person that is good for you. And it's knowing that whether it's your friends, your family that you can't necessarily choose, but your partner in particular, which you do have choice over, should complement you. And the key thing for us is we're very different. We have very different approaches in life, but it's a great balance in how it works for us. And I think that's the key thing for you to think about in terms of who you surround yourself with.
So make sure you do all of the usual. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment below whether you enjoyed this video, whether we should have added anything in. If we should have, we'll create another video off the back of that.
Yeah, and I would love to know what your experience is at school.
Yeah.
If you're at school now, what do you think? Does it resonate with you? Are you more in Ant's camp?
Or are you in my camp of thinking, but you follow what you're told? Because those
too
are the
scared.
really interesting ones. You're too scared of your parents, your teachers, how will life work out for you? Those are the ones that really interest me, because I like speaking to those people and kind of just pressing some buttons.
Or if you're older, let us know what you thought of school and like how it moulded you. And
One other thing. How many times have you been asked for your GCSE results since you've left school? Because I'm going to guess it's 0 times.
Or how often you've had to provide proof
Yeah.
of your GCSE results.
Anyway, thanks for watching.